the lab tech ran to the door of the containment cell and opened it, looking to render aid to SCP-049. Hello, I'm Dr. Katz. Today, we'll be looking at SCP-049. SCP-049 Incident Report. Date: 3/25/1993. On the date referenced above at approximately 3:30 a.m., a breach occurred in the containment of SCP-049. Details of the breach are as follows. A new lab tech was on duty in the observation room, watching SCP-049 perform one of his surgeries on a deceased orangutan that had been provided for him the day before. Contrary to all protocols, this new lab tech was alone at the time. The other lab tech that was assigned to that duty shift had stepped out of the building to smoke a cigarette, leaving the observation room manned by only one person. This is a serious breach of regulations. It is postulated that SCP-049 somehow sensed he was being observed by only one person and decided to use this to his advantage. While the lab tech watched, SCP-049 made an incision in the body of the orangutan, where it appeared he accidentally cut himself. The entity let out a high-pitched scream and dropped to his knees, holding his hand. The lab tech tried calling out to the other tech, but he was still outside and too far away. Without any regard for proper protocols, the lab tech ran to the door of the containment cell and opened it, looking to render aid to SCP-049. Stepping inside the cell, the tech knew he needed to keep his distance from the entity. When he asked if SCP-049 was alright, he got no answer other than a low moaning that he took for a moan of pain. At that time, the other tech returned to the observation room and saw the junior tech standing in the cell. He ran to the door of the cell, which was still open, and intended to pull the new tech out of the room and reseal the door. In the 10 seconds it took him to reach the door and enter the cell, the orangutan reanimated and jumped off the table. The senior tech ran into the cell, not realizing there was now an instance of SCP-049-2, and it was mobile. The orangutan grabbed the younger tech and pulled him further into the cell, and the senior tech tried to get him. While he was occupied with trying to save the new tech, SCP-049 rose to his feet, having no injury to its hand as witnessed in the video. The orangutan grabbed both techs by their wrists, and because of its strength, both were held tight and unable to break free. SCP-049 walked over and pulled the door to the cell closed and stepped in front of the two techs. On the video, he was heard to say he could sense the pestilence in both of them, but they were in luck that he would be able to cure them. Both techs tried to tell the entity they felt fine and there was no need for a cure. "I am the doctor here. Let me examine you and make the diagnosis," SCP-049 said. He reached up and touched the senior tech on the side of the face, and the man dropped to the floor immediately. "As I suspected, pestilence," he yelled. He looked at the younger tech and said, "I can sense it in you too, but it is just getting started, so your cure should be quite easy." The tech struggled to break free of the orangutan's hold, but it was of no use. SCP-049 touched him on the side of the face, killing him instantly. With both techs dead on the floor, SCP-049 took the lab coat from the senior tech and helped the orangutan put it on, telling him he would be his nurse. Both techs were then stripped of their clothing and laid on the exam table, whereupon SCP-049 began operating on the two of them. He kept up a running commentary as he performed the surgery. SCP-049 made the determination that the senior tech's body was so full of pestilence it couldn't be used, but the younger tech's body was quite healthy. He determined that the younger tech's head was not developed enough to withstand the surgery and would need some help. He made some massive incisions in the neck of the younger tech. SCP-049 then proceeded to decapitate the senior tech. Then, he proceeded to attach the severed head to the incisions. When he was finished, he pulled some syringes from his bag and injected some fluid into the body. About 5 minutes after the injections, there was signs of movement from the body. After a few minutes, SCP-049 helped the patient to sit up and get to its feet. He proceeded to examine the new SCP-049-2, and when finished, pronounced the patient free of all pestilence. After cleaning up the exam table and his tools, SCP-049 sat down and pulled out his journal from his bag and wrote the details of the operation. Approximately 2 hours later, the change of shift arrived at the lab, and not finding the 2 night techs on duty, they looked into the observation room and saw SCP-049 sitting at the table, and the 2 new SCP-049-2s moving about the room. Not knowing what happened, the videos from the previous shift and witnessed what had happened. Both SCP-049-2s were removed from the room and incinerated as dictated by protocol. Addendum. It should be noted that while the head of the younger tech was conscious but not alert to its surroundings, which is normal for SCP-049's successful operations, the head of the older tech was the same. It was conscious and looking around, though it also appeared to be in a daze. Thank you for watching.